Hey everyone, this is Friedelager Ager Raven. I'm here with my recap and review of P-Valley season number 2, episode number 10, which is the season 2 finale. And yeah, the way that this particular episode ended, I really hope that this show is coming back for a season 3 because I have questions. So, the season, So the season finale opened up with Andre having this argument with his wife because she saw him cheat on her with Haley in the previous episode, and we have this shot of Haley just looking at, I guess she's enjoying the mess that she's created. And I'm like, okay, Haley. Like, Haley is one messy character. She has some good things about her. She is kind of kind to other people, but she also ends up doing like some bad stuff. So she's enjoying the argument, and I'm like, why is Andre's wife even back? Why does she even want to get back with Andre? Like, this marriage is clearly not working out. Their relationship should have never been a thing. But yeah, I guess the writers will be developing that in season number 3, especially after what happened to Haley by the end of this episode. So these two are arguing, and Haley is like, you know what, Andre? People are gathering outside, so the results are going to be announced soon, and I guess you need to be ready to accept your win. And Andre's like, you know what, Haley, I'll meet you later, but I need to stay back and I need to talk to my wife. And that's what he does. He goes to his wife, and these two have a talk about their relationship. And she's like, "Is the fact that you are hooking up with Haley, is that a way for you to get back at me for hooking up with someone else?" And Andre's like, "No, no, no, not really. It's just that things aren't working out between us, and I don't think that it ever will." And she's like, "Do you really want a divorce?" And I'm like, "Yes, yes. You both need to divorce each other." But yeah, while these two are talking, these two also talk about the different masks that Andre wears, and Andre's wife is like, "You should have told me about your dad." And he's like, "Really? Really? If I had told you about your dad, would you have even considered marrying me?" And he's like, "I've always been someone who needed to wear these masks in order to present myself in a particular way in society and everything." And she's like, "But I still love you, Andre. I fell in love with you. You're my man." And Andre's like, "But that's the point. Are you in love with the real Andre, or are you in love with the version of Andre that I presented in front of you?" So yeah, these two have issues. And while these two are talking, Corbin walks in and he's very excited because, yeah, he's ready for Andre to become mayor of Chuckalisa. And he's like, come on outside. The results are going to be announced. Let's celebrate. So we cut to Lil Murder, and Lil Murder is getting ready to get back on stage again. And we have this shot of him basically looking at the different masks that he's worn over the years in the mirror, and he also takes off his grill. And yeah, this particular episode it showed a lot of character development for Murder, and I'm looking forward to seeing where he and his relationship with his career and his relationship with Uncle Clifford is going to head next if this show comes back for a season 3. So he goes out on stage, and of course Maine is very, very angry. He basically wants to file Lil Murder, and Lil Murder's like, "You know what? I'm not going to back away from this fight." And he ends up debuting a new song, and Mercedes comes out and she performs. She basically gives her best performance yet, and the crowd goes crazy. But yeah, Maine isn't happy about it. He doesn't like the fact that Mercedes is performing for Lil Murder, and I guess the song is about that 7 pounds of pressure. So basically, both Lil Murder and Mercedes have healed in a way. They've both healed. And then we cut to Corbin's brother calling someone, and is looking at the TV. And at first it's like, okay, so he's calling Andre to congratulate him. But no, it turns out that the new mayor of Chuckalisa is Patrice. And I'm like, oh, okay, so that happened. And yeah, Andre is like, even though I failed, Chuckalisa did gain its son back. So apparently Andre will be moving back to Chuckalisa, and he'll be opening a new practice here. And I guess his wife will be staying too. And then we cut to Lil Murder and Mercedes being happy about the performance that they just gave, and they come back to the dressing room and they see Uncle Clifford just crying, and they're like, "Oh no, did something happen to Ernestine?" And yeah, even in the previous episode, the way that Uncle Clifford was acting, I was like, wait, is Ernestine dead? But no, it turns out that Ernestine refused to drink Beulah's water, and yeah, she's still alive. Ernestine is still alive. Good for her. So they end up comforting Uncle Clifford, and then we cut to Keyshawn, and yeah, Haley ended up planning a lot of stuff for her. Keyshawn has her money, she has the car, she just needs to pick her kids up from her sisters and just run away and never come back. And I knew that something bad was going to happen to Keyshawn. And then it's the next day, and yeah, we get to see Uncle Clifford waking up next to Lil Murder. Lil Murder is in a very, very romantic mood because Lil Murder clearly loves Uncle Clifford, and he talks about how he'll be going to tour soon. And Uncle Clifford is like, yeah, I need to talk to you about something, Lil Murder. And he's like, what do you want to talk about? And this is basically Uncle Clifford saying that, you know what, Lil Murder? I don't think that this relationship between us can work. We have this little paradise like inside these four walls, but outside, I don't think that you can handle being with me. And Lil Murder's like, don't do this, Cliff, don't do this. And Clifford is like, I'm doing this for you. So basically, yeah, you can tell that Clifford doesn't want to hold Lil Murder back because he has his entire career in front of him. And Lil Murder, the way that because of the part of the industry, the music industry that he's in, he can't basically be in a romantic relationship with someone like Uncle Clifford. And Uncle Clifford basically tells Lil Murder, you know what? I enjoyed my time with you, and I need to come back to reality, so I'm going to break up with you. And yeah, Ernestine is coming back, and that's all I need. And of course, I'll have your memories. So Lil Murder just walks away, and I'm like, really, writers, really? So we get to see Mercedes looking at her mom's interview on TV. Oh, also there was a scene where Patrice was enjoying her new office, and she fell from the chair. So basically, even though Patrice is now mayor, the referendum for the casino also passed. So Mayor Patrice is like, I'll see about that. So Mercedes is watching her mom on TV, and this is where she gets a delivery, and it's a picture that Farah took of her, and there's also like a $30,000 check, and she ends up calling Farah, and she's like, okay, so is this the money that Coach owed me? And she's like, no, these are just the royalties that I'll continue giving to you because of using your likeness and everything. And yeah, basically these two have agreed to a new professional relationship, and I like that. I like these two. I really like these two. And also, while we're on the topic, I think that they need to change Farah's hairstyle. Like this hairstyle, it's not doing for her, in my opinion. So yeah, basically Mercedes is like, okay, even if I end up stopping performing at the Pink, there are other revenue streams I can go for. And I'm like, good for you, Mercedes, good for you. So all of the women in Chicalisa are handing food that they prepared to Andre, trying to flirt with her, while Andre's wife is standing behind him. And yeah, Haley comes in, and Haley ends up presenting a box of cigars to Andre, and she still hasn't told Andre that she's pregnant with his kids. And she's like, okay, so you'll be staying at Chicalisa? He's like, yep, that's what I'm gonna do, even though I'm not mayor. And he's like, okay, so what are you going to do? What did you want to talk to me about last night? And Haley's like, you know what? We'll come back to that conversation later, but right now, even if you aren't mayor, I still might need your help because of that Pink settlement that I'll be getting. And yeah, she ends up calling the woman, and things did not work out the way that Haley planned. So Haley ends up calling this woman, and she's like, hey, babe, where's my 5 million? And you know what? I'm going to bump my asking price. I'm now going to go for 10 million. And the woman is like, ha, Haley, did you not read the news? We don't need the Pink no more. And she's like, what do you mean you don't need the Pink? The Pink is the only thing you need because the casino referendum was passed. And she's like, check the news. So turns out it turns out that there's going to be a new canal being developed. That's the Carbon-Kyle Canal, and all of that relates back to what Uncle Clifford ended up talking to Carbon about like 2-3 episodes ago about bringing the water to him. And yeah, it turns out that they're going to bring the water to Carbon's estate, and now he's a very, very rich man, and that's where the casino will be built. And yeah, Haley isn't going to get anything. She isn't going to get anything for the Pink. And while that's happening, Ernestine comes back home, and Uncle Clifford wants Ernestine to take it easy, relax, and she's like, no, I just had an experience with that. The last thing that I want to do is relax. She wants to throw a party, so Big Al is there, Duffy is there, there's another guy that we have seen before, and Ernestine I guess she has a crush on him, and Clifford is like, okay, I guess this is happening. And as Ernestine goes upstairs, this is where Uncle Clifford ends up having a hallucination of her mom. And Uncle Clifford is like, okay, so if you're here to take back Ernestine again, I won't let you. And Beulah is like, no, I'm not here for Ernestine, Uncle Clifford. I'm here for you. And I'm like, what does she mean by that? Is Uncle Clifford going to die or something? But no, it just turns out that Uncle Clifford's mom wants Uncle Clifford to accept the love that's come into her life through Lil Murder. She wants Uncle Clifford to not push Lil Murder away, and Uncle Clifford is like, but love ended up taking your life, mom. And her mom is like, no, it wasn't love, it was the virus, and I guess she ended up dying of AIDS. From what I could gather, and she just wants Uncle Clifford to take the risk and accept the love that Little Murder is ready to give her, and not to push people away. Uncle Clifford is like, I guess she'll think about it. So Keyshawn goes to meet Little Murder, and Little Murder also has some money that Little Murder wanted to give Keyshawn. And yeah, this is where these two say goodbye, and they also talk about missing Uncle Clifford. And Keyshawn is like, you know what? Of course I'll miss Uncle Clifford more, but you don't have to, Little Murder. You don't have to miss her. Basically, Keyshawn telling Little Murder to think about wanting to stay with Uncle Clifford, or basically breaking things up to pursue a career. So we cut to Mercedes. She's enjoying the image that Farrah gave her, and yeah, she's doing well, she's healed. She even does that superhero pose, and as she's performing, this is where Patrice comes in, and Patrice is impressed by what Mercedes has done, and I guess she wants to basically call a truce, try to mend the relationship. And she's like, you know what, I'll be wearing both hats. I'll be mayor of Chacalisa, and I'll also be a pastor, or a bishop. You can call me Bishop Woodbine, and what, Mayor Bishop Mayor, or something like that. And she's like, you know what, but I also got a call from Shell last night, and Shell wants help. She wants forgiveness, so she'll be going to rehab. And yeah, I can't handle Tarek on my own, Mercedes. So basically, Patrice's olive branch was reuniting Mercedes with Tarek, and I'm like, okay. Good for Mercedes. Everything's working out for her. So, of course, an angry Autumn goes to meet with Uncle Clifford, and she's like, so you went behind my back to agree on this plan with Carbon. You handed a whole lot of money to Carbon. Why would you do that, Uncle Clifford? Why would you do that? Uncle Clifford is like, well, I did what I had to do in order to save Pink, but you won't understand that. However, for all the trouble that you went through and any inconvenience, here's a check for $2,500,000. I guess that's how much, right? A quarter? Kind of like $250,000? I'm not really sure. And she's like, but this isn't enough. And Clifford, this isn't enough. And Clifford is like, well, that's exactly what you're going to get, okay? Yes, you ended up giving up a whole lot of your own money to save the Pink, but that's the point. I want to save the Pink. The Pink is my dream, Haley. You infiltrated my dream, and you wanted to take my dream away. Why would you do that? And Haley is like, we could have split the money. And Uncle Clifford is like, then what? Without the Pink, who am I? Like, this Pink, this isn't going anywhere, Haley. And he's like... And yeah, also Uncle Clifford is like, you know what, I wanted to be there for you. We could have been a family and everything. We could have been a family for a woman who had no one. And Haley is like, well, don't pretend that the other girls wouldn't have done the same. And Uncle Clifford is like, no, they wouldn't have done the same. And then Haley is like, you know what, I'm not leaving. This isn't enough money. I need more money. I need interest and whatnot. And this is where Big L and Diamond walk in. They are like, well, burying bodies is interest enough, right? And even Uncle Clifford is like, yeah, you saved the Pink, and Mercedes and I saved you from Montavious. So call it even, Haley. Just take the money and go. And I'm like, Haley is going to pull something. She is going to do something. So this was a very, very unfortunate scene. Keyshawn goes to her sister's house, and yeah, it turns out that Keyshawn's mom is already there, and she ended up calling Derek, and Derek came to pick up the kids, and Keyshawn is like, you called Derek? Derek has the kids? So yeah, Keyshawn has to rush back home, and I'm like, why P-Valley writers? Why? Like, Derek needs to die. So Andre continues to call Haley. She's not picking up, and he's at the police station in order to meet with his dad. And then Keyshawn goes home, and Derek is there with the children, and Keyshawn is like, Derek, it's not what you think it is. I was just busy and whatnot. And as she's talking to Derek, this is where, yeah, Child Protective Services comes in, and someone complained, and Keyshawn is like, what do you mean someone complained? And yeah, apparently a neighbor complained about the kids being in danger, and basically insinuating that Keyshawn is the one who's abusing the children, and Keyshawn is like, what? And as this woman is talking to Keyshawn about how she needs to stay in Chakalisa for 6 months because there'll be like these random visits and whatnot, Keyshawn isn't having that. Like everything was in place. Everything was in place. Like her escape was so close. And as this woman is talking to Keyshawn thinks that it kind of reminds me of what Keyshawn used to hear from her stepmom. And yeah, it basically she thinks that a woman is telling Keyshawn that she isn't a fit enough mother. She doesn't know how to take care of her children. Yada yada yada. And Derek is just smiling, and Keyshawn loses it. She just loses it, and she starts hitting Derek in front of the Child Protective Services people and the police officer. She even hits the police officer, and I'm like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And yeah, Keyshawn has been sent to jail while the two kids are with Derek, and wow. Ugh. So Mercedes takes Tarika to her home, and Main's there, and she introduces Main to Tarika, and Mercedes is like, okay, so go in and unpack your things. And this is where Main tells Mercedes that he wasn't a fan of her basically performing with a traitor and everything. And Mercedes is like, hey, it's the Pink. We were all at the Pink. Pink is basically Switzerland, I guess. That's what Mercedes was trying to tell Main, that what happens at the Pink stays at the Pink. And Main is like, you know what, Mercedes, you know what, you need to tell that F to watch his back. And Mercedes is like, wait, you better check how you talk about Uncle Clifford. And he's like, Uncle Clifford isn't the F that I'm talking about, Mercedes. So yeah, basically telling Mercedes that the streets have been talking and people know that Lil Murder is queer. So we cut to the Pink, and they're throwing a party outside. It's like a disco jukeboxy party. Everyone is having fun. And this is where Lil Murder comes in, and Uncle Clifford is like, okay, so why are you back? Why aren't you going? And Lil Murder's like, you know what? I've been thinking about it, and I'm not going, Cliff. I am not going. Uncle Clifford is like, So Mercedes walks into the party with Tarika, and Tarika gets introduced to Uncle Clifford. And this is where Mercedes notices Lil Murder's looking at Uncle Clifford, and she puts two and two together, and she's like, oh, so there really is something happening between you two. And Clifford is like, well, let's go to the kitchen and talk about it. And they go to the kitchen, and this is where we see Diamond and Big L and Dusty talking to each other. And Diamond gets a call from an unknown number, and it's Keyshawn. And Keyshawn tells Diamond that, yeah, you were right. My hair wasn't long enough. The big bad wolf ate the key, and once upon a time, a knight told the princess that he will handle everything. So will you handle it, Diamond? Will you handle it? Basically, I guess she wants Diamond to kill Derek, and I'm here for it. So these two are Uncle Clifford and Mercedes are talking in the kitchen, and Mercedes is like, Uncle Clifford is very excited because Haley is out of the picture, and the Pink is doing good, and they can do a Pink amusement park and everything. She is thinking about themes, and Mercedes is like, you know what, Uncle Clifford, this was my last performance. I need to go. And Clifford is like, really? You're leaving me. Keyshawn's leaving me. Even Gidget left me. And Mercedes is like, but that's how things go here, right? This is basically a stepping stone. Think about it as a graduation. Like the girls come and go, they find a sense of family here, and then they move on to their own dreams. They find their own dreams. That's what I learned from you. And then Clifford understands that, and basically she gives Mercedes her blessings. And then we cut to Roulette in the bathroom, and she ends up talking to the costume. I guess she's in charge of costuming, right? And yeah, she wants to make money too, and she wants Roulette to be her pimp. And Roulette is like, yep, let's do it. So Mercedes and Clifford walk out of the kitchen, and Lil Murder is waiting to talk to Uncle Clifford, and Mercedes is like, okay, you two talk. And yeah, Lil Murder is like, I'm not going, Cliff. I am not going. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to push me away. You still love me. You want me to be here, but you don't want to get hurt. And this is where Uncle Clifford is like, yeah, I don't want to get hurt because I sell fantasy as a profession, but in my real life, I need the real deal. I don't want to continue staying in that fantasy that we have in my own house, in my own room. Like that little piece of paradise, I don't want that. I want something real in my own life, Lil Murder. And can you give me that? Lil Murder's like, yep, I can give you that. And this is basically where Lil Murder tells Uncle Clifford finally about Big Teak and how these two met in jail and how Lil Murder fell in love with Big Teak back then, and then Big Teak ended up taking his own life. And yeah, it's very, very emotional. And again, Lil Murder's like, I don't want to lose you, Cliff. I don't want to lose you. But before Uncle Clifford can say something, Big Al comes in and he's like, you need to check this, Cliff. You need to check this. You need to come with me. And Uncle Clifford's like, oh, okay, I'll come. So it turns out that, of course, Haley ended up stealing, like, what, more than $40,000 from the bank. They're in the red now. And Clifford is like, that woman. And yeah, now Uncle Clifford is trying to figure out where they're going to get all of the money back from. And yeah, this is where Big L ends up saying that, yep, we need those pills, right, Cliff? We need those pills. And yep, Uncle Clifford has accepted to sell the pills from Big L. And I'm like, oh. And then we cut to Haley. She has this new wig on. She has a whole lot of money. And yeah, she's happy. She's pregnant with Andre's kids. I guess she's having twins. And she's gone with the wind. And I'm like, okay. So I guess her character has been written off. Unless she comes back for season number 4 or 5. Who knows? And also, I guess, considering from what I know, when it comes to the reactions in the fandom, I think a whole lot of people will be okay with Haley being written out, as far as my opinion goes. So Uncle Clifford, she's high and she comes back to the party and she's dancing away and she feels Lil Murder's hands around her waist, and at first she thinks that she's like, it's a fantasy, but no, it's actually Lil Murder, and Lil Murder is taking the step. Lil Murder is taking the step and he ends up kissing Uncle Clifford in front of everyone. So I guess he's out of the closet. So if this show does come back for a season number 3, I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to impact Lil Murder's persona, his professional image and everything. And the episode ends with Diamond wanting to go and helping Keyshawn, but he ends up getting attacked by Big Bone and the leader of the Brother of the Divine or whatever group that Mendavius was part of. So they end up stabbing Diamond. They put him into a car trunk, and yeah, they're like, you know what, we aren't going to kill Diamond. That would be too easy. We're going to kidnap him. And Diamond, because of his PTSD, he falls unconscious, and I'm like, really, you're going to do this to Diamond? And yeah, the fandom was very, very suspicious of Big Bone from the start, and I guess they were right. So yeah, this is where the episode ends, on a very, very intense cliffhanger. So fingers crossed we get a season number 3. If I end up doing a written review of this for the Geeky, the link to my review will be down in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought of the season 2 finale for P-Valley down in the comment section below. And until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed. See you guys later. Bye.